morning, everybody. Welcome to painted posture. Grab 2 blocks and a strap and a mat, and then take a moment to see where your body is in space today. It feels a little loud. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Let's start today with standing elbow curls. So bring your hands and hold your fingers so your fingers touch your palms. And then bring your hands to your temples. Elbows all the way together so they touch. And all the way back. All the way together. All the way back. Keep going. Take it into a shoulder roll up and back and around, and just feel what happens. Let's grab a block and just create a little stability at the lower body. Make the adductors just help us. We'll see if that allows a little more movement into the thoracic back, up and back and around. Right now, just allow your rib cage to do whatever it wants to do. Maybe it wants to shift forward as you roll down your spine. Kind of going from the top in the thoracic back all the way down.
Cheryl wins the Christmas costume award for today's class.
She sure does.
You only got like 2 weeks for all this crap that you had.
Go the other way back and up and around. And then shoulder squeezes. Pinch your shoulder blades together and release. This time, keep your rib cage in and then squeeze and release. 1 second. Keep going.
Record stuck. Record stuck. Sounds like.
Who even knows what that means anymore?
Record stuck. Where's your toenail?
Yes, here.
Anna? Okay, keep the rib cage really still. Bring your arm all the way up and back and around, keeping the space between the hips and rib cage and shoulders stable. So you're just taking that arm around in as big of a range as possible. So this is a car. We're using some from Kin Stretch or functional range conditioning. How do we have tissue adaptations so that we can use our bodies in all kinds of ways as if we needed to throw a ball? So something with external rotation where the shoulder blade moves away, all this coordination between all that action. We have to do it before we can do it. Do do the movement, practice the movement, coach the movement. Both directions. Good. And the other side. Up. Bring the arm up. Keep everything here stable. Let the arm turn backwards like you're making a backstroke and come around. Do your best to keep the whole upper body stable as that arm moves up, back, and around. And notice, where do you want to move? I can see my body wanting to shift over to one side a little bit. You could look in the mirror if you're here in class and just notice where can you be still. So that means the core has to fire. Obliques, transverse abdominis, a little bit of rectus abdominis even to hold that stable as you let that shoulder blade lift, rotate, come back around over the rib cage. Arm bone also has to externally rotate as you go back. So that means the rotator cuff, all those floor muscles where the head of the humerus in the shoulder gets held correctly so that that rotation can happen.
Much different arm circle.
It's a much different arm circle. Yeah.
It's one easier, but like your whole body.
Yeah. Okay. Back to this position, and let's just take your palms up and move just at the level of the elbow for a moment. So elbow rotation, shoulders stable over the rib cage over your pelvis, and then just let that arm bone do that rotation. Little muscles in at the elbow crease, working to turn the forearm. We spend so much time this way on a computer or this way on a phone that emphasize that other open direction even more. Yep. And feel, where are the muscles in that elbow? This is a place when we talk about the stories of our body. The first thing that I did was break my elbow at 8 years old, right where America is right now. And I believe that having that in a cast and having that be so swollen for so long was part of what contributed to then me injuring my shoulder in high school when I was a volleyball player. I really believe that that linkage between the forearm and the elbow and the shoulder didn't come all the way back together. I never rehabbed it after I got out of a cast for a month. And I think that that made the shoulder just not quite stabilize as well. So when we look at what's the story of your body, did the injuries get addressed enough that things like these little rotators in these small places got activated again? Okay, then let the arms come out, find the muscles, arm bone stabilizing in the shoulder, shoulder blade moving toward your spine, rib cage staying stable, and then back in, all the way out. Good. And because muscles don't work in a vacuum, we're using all of our stabilizers just to hold us here. So pay attention also to what's happening at the level of your legs. And do you notice that your adductors are working evenly, or do you have one that's working harder than the other? As the adductor comes into play, so could the psoas, maybe the deep butt muscles as the femur head sits in the hip socket a little differently. And then how does that position at the pelvis change all the way up the chain into your shoulders, maybe even to your head and neck? Good, arms out to the side. Let's nerve floss a little bit. So we have nerves that come out from the spinous processes through the places in our neck, all the way at the vertebrae, all the way down to our low back. As we move, we can take that nerve, shorten it on one side and lengthen it on the other, bring it up, and it's like the nerves can slide through a straw. All the way over. Good, ear toward your shoulder and up. Sometimes nerves can get stuck. Couple more. Last one. Good, now take your head and just down and up. So this time you're essentially pulling it this way and then back. Go ahead and take the block away. Let's add the leg so that you're actually getting one side to fully flop. So as your head goes down, let your leg come up into a hamstring curl. That's a balance. Moving your head around and your leg at the same time is challenging. So if you need to hold the wall for this, please do so. If you're feeling advanced, you could even close your eyes. Head up, leg down. Head down, leg up. Head up, leg down. Head down, leg up. Other side. Pull your head down. Let that pull through the nerves all the way to your heel. And then as the leg goes down, head comes up. Yeah. One more. Excellent. All right, from there, go into short foot. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Start at your feet. Bend your knees. Allow your pelvis to do whatever it's going to do, but stay square. Knees going over toes. Feel the edge of the ankle flexibility. Work for your ski boots. Shins to wind. Feel your shins move forward, knees over toes. You don't have to be quite on a balance beam, so go feet hip width apart. There you go. And then make fists and spread your fingers wide and feel that move all the way up from the hand into the forearm, into the shoulder. Good, so mid-range. Let's go cactus arms. Big. That changes the muscles in your middle back. And go all the way up. Full thoracic extension. Fingers spread wide, make a fist. Then relax your arms, lift and press your toes down. Find the muscles at the bottom of your foot. Arches. Just the front toe. Just the front toe, yep. Then see if you can keep 4 toes down, lift the big toe up. Press the big toe down, lift the 4 toes up. And then spread your pinky toe really wide and place each toe down on the floor. And then switch. Fists and spread your fingers 10 times. Look at your back foot and make sure it's straight. 50-50 weight between your feet. That's forcing the body to stabilize differently. Lining up all these joints. Mid-range cactus arms. Spread them wide. Good, all the way up. then toes. Lift and press your toes down. Front foot. Make sure the 50-50 weight is there. If you can go, your body starts to let go of that calf. Go down a little farther. Big toes up, 4 toes down. 4 toes down, big toes up. Again, big toes up, 4 toes down. Big toes down, 4 toes up. And then spread your pinky toe wide apart and place each toe down by itself. Awesome. Come out of that. Cats and dogs. Round and arch. And then grab both your blocks, come down onto your belly. Both blocks. Both blocks. Bend your elbows. If you don't have 2 blocks, you can just put your arms out into that cactus position on the floor, or grab pillows or something that allows your arms to just be lifted slightly up. This position allows the shoulder blades to come glide over the rib cage. Help your front ribs under, pigeon toe your feet, and let your head just go down. I know it's kind of a nose look. We're going to do some work in this position. So this position opens up our thoracic back. We get the shoulders to talk to the hips. If there's a little bit of a disc bulge, this position could also allow the disc bulge to move toward the center so that the vertebrae stack better and it doesn't push the disc material out whenever you move. So keeping a more vertical position or restoring the curvature of your spine so that you regain shock absorption and you can move. Just notice, for those of us that have maybe a little scoliosis in our upper back, feel different between the right and left shoulder. Just notice, is it okay? This also would be a pec stretch for those of us that spend a lot of time driving or on the computer. Okay, let's reconnect this whole line from our hands into our upper back. So I want you to lift your wrists up, and you're working your wrist to try to get your fingers straight up to the sky. Just notice between the right and left side. How is that? As you lift your fingernails up, you're going to find muscles underneath your shoulder blade and in towards your middle back. So notice those turn on, and we want them to be even on both sides. Go ahead and do that 10 times. Remember that nerve blocks? Let your arms just relax on your blocks now. And then kind of lift your head slightly so that as you pull your leg up, your forehead can go forward. And then as you bring your leg down, your head can come up and down and up and down.
Karen, do you want to lift our head by like tilting up the top of our head and our eyes?
Yep.
Lifting the whole 12 pounds straight up.
No, tilting it. So go into neck extension or even a little hyperextension, just wherever it feels okay in your body. And this will be different depending on the shape of your facets and how they move. Go ahead and switch your legs. So head down, leg up. Head up, leg down. And just stay in a pain-free range, whatever that is for you. Awesome. Okay, arms staying up like this. Take your right leg up. This time we're going into the hip mechanics. So I would like an external rotation of that hip and let the heel come down. There's very little movement in the pelvis as you do that. So keep a little stability in your belly and notice this is going to be different for people with different shaped hips. But if there's good stability in the trunk, then the leg bone will be able to do that rotation in the socket. And then bring that leg in and release. Switch sides. Hamstring curl up. Knee slides wide. Good stable trunk. And let that foot come down. Pull it in. Release. Up. Good. External rotation of that leg bone. Coming down. And again, not a lot of lumbar rotation here. You might have a little, depending on how narrow or shallow your hip sockets are. Or how tight your muscles are. Switching legs each time. And release. Press up onto your hands and knees. We'll do those same moves that we did standing and lying down with our hips and shoulders now in this quadruped position. So into a shoulder car, reach the arm up, keep the hips and shoulders stable. So you're in a 3-point horse stance. There's core activation happening here. Then take that arm up, turn the pinky back, reach it all the way around. Again, that stabilization between pelvis and rib cage and shoulders. Shoulder blade comes up, can go toward your spine. Take it all the way up and around. Whatever is a pain-free range for you. So if that's less, that maybe is just out here, work your mobility of the arm bone while the rest of your body feels stable. And notice in your upper back, are you collapsing into your shoulders? Are your shoulder blades winging? How can you fill in the space, not round through your thoracic back, but not collapse in your thoracic back right now either. So right in that mid, gentle rounding. So we have slight curve in the low back, slight rounding in your upper back. Switch arms. Start getting colder in here.
Much.
Feels like that door's open almost.
And all of a sudden it's freezing in here.
You can throw it down. Your whole body can fit in it.
Hold on 1 second, let me check. Feels like it's full of people there. 770.
Just feel the cold air that's
I
coming
think
in.
that we changed.
Just like
I have an idea.
breeze coming.
Thank you. All right, finish that up. Okay, and then the leg. So same thing, hands stable on the ground. Take your leg up. You're gonna do the same thing that we did here. So the knee comes out to the side, and then that rotation in the hip, keeping the hip parallel to the floor, and then bring it back down. So kind of dog peas on a fire hydrant kind of rotation, and then let the ankle come down so that external rotation is there, and then bring it back.
That helps, Dave. I feel like there is.
Yes.
So leg size. Take that leg back behind you, curl it up. Then take the knee wide, let it go out, back, uncurl the leg. Curl it up, out. And feel the stability between your shoulders and your pelvis while you do that. You can feel, I just felt my oblique really turn on. Transverse abdominis should all come on all by itself just to stabilize this position. All right, come down onto your side. Inner and outer thigh lift. I'll do 2 sets of 20, and then we're gonna put a block under our hip and balance. So all of this is gonna get some oblique work, some core work, and hip work. I want you to keep this all stable. Pull your toes back, lift and lower that hip 20 times. So inner and outer thighs in our program, whenever we have somebody with valgus or varus knee position, so knock-kneed or bow-legged, mostly bow-legged, it will give this as an exercise because it shows us if the bones are starting to bow and it's not just a genetic piece, that there's an imbalance between the inner and outer thigh, that the outer thigh, often like TFL, is taking over for the primary hip flexion or hip extension, which should happen first in the glute and then in the hamstring. Pull that leg in, put the bottom leg out straight, and lift and lower that leg. Switch. Back to that first side, 20 more. And as long as you can keep that heel as high as your toes, you can keep going. Find those abductors. In. Lift the inner thigh up and down. When you get to 20, grab your block, place your hip on your block, and find balance. You may choose to have one leg on the ground and just bring this top leg up, or if you're feeling advanced today, lift both legs up. Just find that core stabilization. And then just if you're someone who gets bored holding something there, you could do like split leg things here. You could put the top leg a little higher. Building endurance, 10 more seconds. Second side, good work. That's a good one if you have shoulder issues or rotator cuff issues and you want the work of a side plank, but the side plank is too much load on that shoulder. Then playing with a Bosu ball or a block like that under your hip is one way to get the work that we want around the legs and hips and core. 20 leg lifts, stable hip, abduction at that hip. In, bottom leg out straight, lift and lower. Outside leg again. More. round and arch. One more time. Oh, sorry. Block. Thank you. What would I do without you? That would be really bad to leave you imbalanced that way. Hold it up. Again, you could choose one leg down on the floor and just one leg up. That would be a little less load. Get your spine as straight and stable as possible. Both legs up. Little back and forth kicks if you choose it. Stay up there, 10 more seconds. And release. Awesome. Now back to those. And go ahead and articulate your spine. Find some segmental control. So we just found the stability. Now can you find articulated control, mobility? Letting the back go into that arch, letting the femurs roll over the top of the hip bones, and then head down through your middle back, into your low back, into your tailbone. And then again, pelvis rolling over. As you breathe, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor work together. Your body's doing a lot of cool things that you don't even think about. It's a pretty miraculous machine. Down onto your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. Work a little more glute hip posterior chain. Go ahead and lift your hips off the floor. Roll each shoulder blade underneath you just slightly so that the shoulder blades are open, sitting in a good position. And then come down and lift up again. Knees go away from you that way, all the way up till you feel your glutes activate, and then come down again. Lift and lower. Let's do 15 lifts. That's 3. And then one side at a time. Hold one leg in the air. Use that hamstring and glute to lift, preferentially the glute. Think of the glute so that we keep the head of the femur back in the hip socket. Lift and lower. And then switch sides. From there, use your spine hygiene to come up to seated, but take one leg straight, roll the arm and leg over, then use that to come up to seated. We are going to play with spinal flexion just a bit. So take your legs wide and just notice this is a place where a lot of us haven't gotten into that range of motion for a while, so the adductors can be tight. If you turn your legs slightly back behind you, it will be easier to kind of unlock the pelvis and go forward. So feel just what stops you. Is it hamstring? Is it adductor? Where is that? As you lean from the belly button forward. And then the muscles that flex the spine are your abdominal muscles. So allow some abdominal muscles to turn on and just see how far you can go to get down.
Wait, I'm going to repeat that. That's news to me. You're saying that to flex my spine, I use my abs.
Yeah.
Wow. They're on different sides of my body.
That's true. Those spine muscles are just holding you upright or extending you backwards. You have to use these ones to bend you forward. Otherwise, it's a collapse forward instead of an actual muscle activation. So feel this is rectus abdominis. It's a spine flexor. So go ahead and allow that to flex you and let your thoracic back go into some flexion. Allow your shoulder blades to move off of your back or your spine for a bit. You could even, this is, I think, Kermit the Frog asana, we'll just call it. A yoga move where you slide your arms under and you go all the way into that rounding and then you press your legs straight. But you can play with where you are in that, where the shoulder blades actually move off and the thoracic back rounds. We don't do a lot where we're actually trying, besides child's pose mostly, which is resting, but where we're trying to actually allow some flexion into that upper back. And then if your hands are somewhere under your leg, can you press your legs straight enough at the front of your thighs that your heels come off the floor? Really activate legs.
Did it? Yeah, Anna, look at that.
Nice.
That's Morse code.
Gobbler position.
That's what I guess for the train.
And then one more time, just move forward, heart forward until the end and let it round.
Lifetime skill.
Find your breath. Right now, that whole back line is kind of unattached. And then if you take your legs straight, you can reintegrate the calves into the hamstrings. If your knees are slightly bent, that's okay. That would be a bit of a broken superficial back line of fascia, but that may be where you are. If you can go towards straight, just feel that. The muscles from the heels through the Achilles up the back of the leg, all the way up. Be gentle with this. This is spine flexion, so we don't want to overdo this. For those people with disc issues, this may not feel good. If you have sciatic nerve issues, this might not feel good to you either. Please listen to your body. If you have a bit of arthritis or stenosis, this probably feels amazing. Come all the way up. And just move however your body is asking you to move. And then come into your position or meditation. You might need a downward dog before you do that. Feel what's happening in your body. All right. Lying down, sitting down. Start with 5 deep breaths. Notice where the breath moves in your body. And emphasize your exhale all the way out. Feel where it can compress. And then allow the inhale to happen. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. Can you get both sides of your rib cage to move in so it feels like that's happening evenly? And then allow the exhale or the inhale to happen on its own. Exhale, this time hold the exhale. All the air out, try to push more air out. Inhale. Big and full. Exhale. Squeeze it out, squeeze it out, squeeze it out. Full inhale. And then allow the breath to just move naturally. Showing up to your practice today means showing up to whatever is here in the present moment. Giving your attention to this moment. Notice if the mind goes toward future worries and bring it back right here. If the tendency is to go into the past can't change. Notice if there's work to be done there, but not right now. Come back to the present. The last place the mind tends to go is the disconnect between what you thought would happen or would be happening now and what is. So see if we can just be here with what is. Then how do we give our attention or our ability to witness what is here right now? For the next 3 minutes, allow yourself to rest in the silence. you notice your attention get taken anywhere from right here, pull it back. Your physical body is the most dense aspect of your energy. See if you could notice more subtle aspects of your energy, your emotional body. What's happening in your emotional body right now? Witness that. Energetic body. Then shift to the vibration of your heart center. Just for a moment, cultivate gratitude for something. For a body that moves you through the world, or the fact that it's snowing, for friends, for community. Everybody okay?
Okay, I guess we're good.
I'm gratitude.
That's the
I'm
power of the
grateful.
mind.
Grateful no one got hurt.
That's what added
Thank you so much. Have an awesome day. That was great. That was great.
Well, I hopefully
The-
everybody thought.
Yeah, if you guys just heard that, the steps over here just
Yeah.
decided to come
When we were in
crashing
London,
down.
Abby said that has to be these 3 piles. But that was 2 piles that